graze against the airbag cover, and it sets off the horn. Practically, if you just turn around to ask your kid a question real quick and your elbow just brushes against the top of the airbag cover. Hey crew, I've still got the key to my 23 Cadillac CT5V Blackwing Anniversary Edition. And after about 6 months of ownership, it's time to discuss the things I like and dislike most about my car. I've already made a video talking about my likes, or more accurately, loves. And if you haven't seen that, be sure to click the link that I put here in the video. But to create a fair ownership picture, we should discuss the things that kind of bum me out about it. So when I spec'd my car, I added on both the Carbon Fiber 1 and eventually Carbon Fiber 2 packages, which include this extended front splitter, grille inserts, flared out rocker panels, more prominent deck lid spoiler, and a carbon fiber diffuser. I dig all of these details. In fact, they're some of the things I like most about the exterior of my car. Unfortunately, what you could not get in either package or as a standalone option are some carbon fiber bits that you can get in competitor vehicles. Things like carbon fiber for the door mirror caps, which are as standard painted in the same body color. I opted to go for gloss black to help them fade in with the lines of the car. You also can't get a carbon fiber roof, which you can get in something like the M5. Now those are important carbon fiber details because they are above the belt line. And so this car only having the spoiler in carbon fiber above the belt line means that it's not as visually distinct just to a passerby that it's not your average CT5. You have to look lower on the car. The next thing are the headlights. So LED headlights are sort of uniform across the board now at all price points, and projector LEDs are available in vehicles costing as little as $35,000. Why then does this $100,000 sedan have reflector LEDs? Not only do they look cheaper, but they offer diminished performance compared to the projector LEDs. Two things that just have me scratching my head. Now let's look at things I don't like about the interior. Starting with the back seats. Rear passenger accommodations in the Blackwing. There are some highlights, most of which are options, like the red seat belts to make you feel sporty, or the carbon fiber bucket seats, which are just awesome, even if you're just looking at them from back here. However, when you're inside, you're made aware of a distinct lack of features. You get rear air vents, but you don't get a third zone of climate control like the M5. You get USB-C charging, but there's only one port, unless someone wants to bring an adapter for the DC outlet, come on. And there are no rear heated seats, even as an option in this car. I do have rear passenger knee room behind my own seat at 6 feet tall, but I definitely don't have headroom. My head's pressed against the roof. I can't even make it back to that headrest. It's a thumbs down situation. And the second thing I saw coming, it being a GM product and knowing that they cheapen out on interior trim, but living it out is another thing and unfortunate. So all of the hard scratchy plastics that you find on door panels and on pillars, even on this part of this very expensive chair. And when you get to the front, it's even more obvious. The door panel, which should at least be injection molded, is all in hard plastic. This portion of the seat, hard scratchy plastic. This right here on the center tunnel, hard scratchy plastic. This is injection molded with stitching, that's nice, but it's not leather, and neither is the dashboard, which should be leather. I optioned for the suede wrapping of the steering wheel, that's nice, but it doesn't cover up this hard scratchy plastic piece that my hand rubs against all the time. These little bits of highlight, like the 3D printed medallion and suede wrapping of the gear shift lever and the carbon fiber trim, are all very nice, but they're brought down by the fact that this interior feels like an afterthought. In this world-class performance sedan, I'm not feeling world-class interior luxury. And the final grievance before we hit the road is found in the trunk. No, it's not the extra hard, scratchy plastics. It's the cargo space. At 12 cubic feet of it, the Blackwing has less trunk volume than some smaller competitors. And if you need to accommodate longer items and need the pass-through, there's no way to stow the rear seats from back here. And when they're down, there's that awkward cutout around what I'm sure is some structural piece that does improve performance, fine. It's just frustrating this family sedan isn't as practical as I want it to be. I also paid for the parking package, which gives me the digital rearview mirror, but it would also normally give me a power-operated trunk with hands-free functionality. But because I got the carbon fiber diffuser, I lose out on that feature, just even though I paid for it. All right, let's fire it up and get to some driving critiques. Ignition! Is not one of the things that is most annoying about driving the Blackwing. It's one of the most exciting. Now we are going to dive straight into the most irritating daily driver attribute to the CT5 Blackwing. I'll bring up the camera system for this. It's the turning radius, which is so wide that you pretty much need an abandoned parking lot to actually turn around in one go. Otherwise, you're going to be doing multi-point turns to point the proper direction. I've driven vehicles with wider tires and longer wheelbases that feel like they could turn around in the turning circle, inside the turning circle that you carve in the Blackwing. It's very frustrating every day to pull out of your driveway and need to make a multi-point turn just so that you don't scrape against your neighbor's cars leaving your neighborhood. Or if you're making a U-turn into two different lanes, you got two different lanes to go into, you won't clear it. You'll be heading straight for the curb and you'll have to stop in traffic, back up a little bit, and then start going again. And the next daily driving irritation behind the wheel of the Blackwing is the horn sensitivity. It is in fact so sensitive that you merely graze against the airbag cover and it sets off the horn. So practically, if you just turn around to ask your kid a question real quick and your elbow just brushes against the top of the airbag cover, it's just resting on there right now, it's going to set off the horn, startle you, startle your kid, and certainly startle anyone outside the vehicle who's wondering what on earth they did to deserve to be honked at. That is bothersome day in and day out. In the context of driving enjoyment, there is one feature, or lack thereof, that takes a little bit of the wind out of my sails. When I've driven other supercharged V8 cars, like the Hellcat or the Shelby Mustang GT500, it's so easy to massage supercharger whine inside the cabin. But in the Blackwing, you have to be in a very particular rev range and with just the perfect amount of throttle to get that supercharger whine heard inside the car. For me, I've noticed it's between 3,000 and 3,500 RPM. Then and only then do you hear the supercharger inside the car, and even still, it's not very pronounced. Anything above that, or more intense with the throttle input, is all of that LT4 V8 noise, which sounds great, but I am wanting for whine. That's all you get, that right there. And the last, less than favorable part about driving the Blackwing is the fuel economy. It's rated at 15 combined mpg, which is not great, but would be better than what I usually see when I go out and film a video in this car, which is driving some casual around town stuff mixed in with canyon enthusiastic driving, and I average usually 9 to 11 miles per gallon. That is horrible, and that makes the fuel bill for this car horrendous. Now, I'll counter that by saying if you do attempt to just hypermile it, coasting on the highway at like 70, then you can mimic the highway rating of 21 miles per gallon. But no one's doing that every day. People are mixing up their driving, and if you bought this car, you probably want to drive it with some excitement. Just expect that you'll be paying a lot at the gas pump and visiting it quite often. Now, if you expected that I was going to lay into the Blackwing's gearbox or powertrain or suspension or braking system, then I'm pleased to disappoint you, because all of those things are magnificent. They are the reason I bought this vehicle, and they are the things that have more than exceeded my expectations. I love the way the Blackwing drives. If it's casual around town stuff, then the magnetic ride control adaptive dampers provide a pillowy soft ride, and if it's in the context of a great canyon road or even at the track where I've taken this car a couple different times, it excels. It will blow away your expectations for how good a four-door sedan can drive. And that will tease out once again some of the things I love most about this car. If you haven't seen that video yet, go watch it and expect much more very satisfied Miles, very big kid happy content from behind the wheel of this Blackwing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, comment, and share it. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to get notified, and I'll see you again next time.